Hi everyone, today I'll briefly tell you about the anime Valkyrie of the End. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and let's start. The story begins with an explanation that every 1,000 years, the gods gather in Valhalla to decide the fate of humanity. And right now, one such assembly is taking place to determine whether humanity is allowed to live or not. They take into account that humans have destroyed the lands and seas of the earth, so they vote to get rid of humanity. But before a verdict is reached, one of the 13 Valkyries, a demigod named Brunhilde, offers a different solution. She suggests Ragnarok, a battle one-on-one between humans and gods. Each side selects 13 champions. If humanity wins 7 rounds, the gods will give them another 1,000 years of life. All the gods laugh, considering how much stronger they are than humans, but ultimately they agree to Brunhilde's idea. She must choose 13 of the strongest humans in 7 million years of human history. Soon, the great battle between humans and gods will begin. The rules of Ragnarok are very simple. Humans and gods will fight to the last breath. The god presented in the first round is Thor, the god of thunder, the mightiest Norse god. But even with this setup, Brunhilde remains confident in her human representative. She calls upon the legendary Chinese warrior, the undefeated champion in human history, Youve. The first round begins, and they both approach each other, not knowing what to expect from their opponent. Thor and Youve have similar combat styles, and they are capable of defeating their opponents with a single strike. They both strike. Thor uses his hammer attack, and Youve uses his halberd to counter. Then suddenly, Thor activates the divine power of lightning, but in doing so, he leans his body back, using this attack to make everyone believe he will win. Suddenly, Youve appears from the mist, shocking the gods that human weaponry could wound a god. It turns out that before the battle began, all 13 demigods of the Valkyries gathered to create weapons for the representatives of humanity. The demigods transform themselves into weapons that humanity can use against the gods, known as divine weapons. Youve uses the 4th Valkyrie, known as Rangris, which has the power to shatter the god's armor. He then uses the divine weapon to destroy Thor's glove. After this, a dull sound comes from the hammer. Thor uses the gloves to seal all his power and prevent himself from crushing his own hammer. After Thor removes the gloves, he becomes much more serious. He uses all his strength to throw the hammer at Youve, who dodges it and counterattacks. The hammer returns to Thor, but Youve dodges it again. The return of the hammer is necessary for Thor to activate a skill known as youre. He uses it, and there is a powerful explosion. All the gods are stunned because Youve has no chance of survival after such an attack. But Youve blocks his attack, although both his legs are broken, as the human body cannot withstand such pressure. This is one of the reasons why humans cannot defeat the gods. At this moment, all hope for humanity is lost, and even Youve thinks his time has come. Suddenly, a red-haired horse appears on the battlefield. Due to his damaged legs, Youve cannot mount the horse for a long time, but somehow manages to do so. He approaches Thor with his final technique, which he developed for decades. The crowd cheers for Youve as he executes his last attack, called piercing the sky. At this moment, Thor throws his hammer with all his might and wins, as the strength of a lion cannot compare to the strength of a god. However, even after his defeat, Youve is satisfied with the outcome because he finally challenged a worthy opponent. His army rushes onto the battlefield, shouting for Thor to finish them off to reunite with their master. Thor fulfills their wish and destroys them all with his hammer. Now humanity is one step closer to extinction. Brunhilde, the representative of humanity, decides to summon the next person who has a special code next to his name. He will become the champion in the second round. When he appears, all of humanity will exactly know who he is, the one who has hated the gods more than anyone throughout human history. He is the one and only progenitor of all humanity, Adam. His opponent is Zeus, who is the god of all gods. They did not expect such a powerful god to participate in the second round because Adam's initial opponent was supposed to be the Indian god Shiva. But at the last moment, they switched places, causing concern for Brunhilde. Adam confidently steps onto the battlefield, unconcerned with whom he will fight. Then Zeus appears with a very dominating aura and uses his power to enhance his physique before the round starts. Regan-Leaf, the 7th sister of the Valkyrie, offers herself as Adam's weapon. They combine souls, and people are shocked by the sight of Adam's weapon. It is an iron fist or brass knuckles with which he can defeat the oldest god in the universe. Zeus attacks first, striking with the speed of light, but Adam simply dodges it, angering Zeus. He then uses even more power and performs the meteor strike technique. But even then, Adam easily dodges all of his combos. Adam retaliates, using the same techniques as Zeus, utilizing his special ability called Eyes of the Lord. The gods created Adam as a perfect reflection of themselves, so Adam can copy the abilities of a god against themselves. Adam is currently winning the battle, striking Zeus with powerful attacks. Suddenly, Zeus changes his approach and starts attacking with his legs. He uses a kick against Adam, who again dodges it and uses the movement to knock Zeus off his feet. Zeus becomes furious and uses his last attack, something he learned from his father when he was a young god, time stop. This divine power challenges all the laws of time, but to everyone's surprise, Zeus collapses, asleep on his feet. All are shocked to see this scene. The power of Adam's divine reflection is too great. Everyone thought this round ended with Adam's victory. And while humanity rejoiced, Zeus suddenly gets up. He becomes more serious because for the first time in millions of years, someone has forced him to show his final form known as Adamus. But in this form, he can only last for 12 minutes. Zeus actively attacks, but Adam uses the eyes of the Lord to copy him in this form, using Zeus's power to counterattack. But Adam's eyes begin to overheat because he has been using the eyes of the Lord for too long. Each blow he delivers in this final form carries a tremendous amount of strength, so Zeus also struggles as his body begins to reach its limits. Loki, the spectator, informs everyone that now the outcome of this battle depends on whose strength runs out faster. After delivering another blow, Adam's eyes completely blind him. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Zeus attacks him. Adam tries to defend himself with all his might, but since his eyes cannot see anything, he receives a powerful blow from Zeus. Humanity is in despair, but then a voice cries out to Adam. And in the last moment, the father of all humanity is still filled with determination to protect all his children. It was a miracle to see Adam rise and continue the fight in such a state. After Zeus receives another blow, he falls. Everyone thinks Adam has won, but it turns out he had already taken his last breath several minutes ago when he was blinded. But even after death, his soul lived on and continued to fight for his children. Zeus is declared the winner of the second round. Thus, after 2 matches, 2 humans and 2 Valkyries are dead. Humanity must win the third round. At this moment, Brunhilde received word that Poseidon will be the opponent in the third round. Poseidon, Zeus's brother, is known as the cruelest ruler of the seas. It was difficult for Brunhilde to choose a suitable person for the third round. Just then, an old man enters and says he will represent humanity. His name is Sosuke Kajira, also known as the greatest swordsman of humanity. Despite the nickname failure, even after death, he diligently honed his skills to achieve perfection. When Kajira unsheathes his sword, everyone is shocked to learn that he has reached the highest level of swordsmanship. The duel begins, but they both simply stand in place. Kajira possesses a divine weapon created by the Valkyrie, Hrist, Poseidon's second sister. Poseidon doesn't even look at Kajira because he considers himself far superior to him, even believing himself higher than all the gods in the universe. After standing for some time, no one notices what is happening except for some gods. In reality, Kajira has already fought with Poseidon in his mind and has mentally lost the battle 18 times. This is one of Kajira's techniques called 1,000 Forms of Defense, which creates a virtual copy of his opponent in his mind, allowing him to try out different attack schemes. Kajira now knows that if he takes the initiative and attacks first, Poseidon will immediately finish him. Kajira is confident that no matter how he attacks, he will be defeated by Poseidon. After calculating, Kajira decides to strike first by the law of inertia, swinging his sword at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour. He cannot change direction. However, Kajira is different from others and uses a special skill called Flight of the Swallow. After using this technique, Poseidon looks at him for the first time. He begins to approach Kajira and delivers multiple attacks, but Kajira easily dodges them all. He can do this because he still uses thousands of defense forms in his mind and sees all of Poseidon's movements. At this moment, Poseidon starts to whistle and attack so fast that Kajira cannot react in time. Poseidon himself looks satisfied and asks Kajira what happened. He thought Kajira could read his opponent's moves. Poseidon attacks Kajira again, and the gods are shocked by Kajira's defense. They cannot believe that an ordinary human can reach a level comparable to gods. Kajira can block all of Poseidon's attacks at the speed of light. Suddenly, Kajira takes the initiative, using his hands for a counterattack. After a quick sword strike, Kajira turns Poseidon's hand with the sword. It's a secret technique, but it's completely useless against Poseidon's overwhelming power. The god breaks the sword in half, and humanity loses all hope. Then we see Kajira's memories in which he fights the last opponent he met, Musa, the Moto family. He was a legendary swordsman. Kajira remembers the joy of training with him to become number 1. After this memory, for the first time in his life, he aspired to victory. Kajira rises again with his broken sword and uses the Valkyrie's weapon regeneration skill, which gives him 2 new swords in his hand. Kajira attacks Poseidon with all his might, using everything he learned from the legendary swordsman of his time. He manages to kill Poseidon, the first time a god of the sea has been killed by human strength.